In a quiet mountain village lived a young girl named Lena, who dreamed of becoming an artist. Her paintings were filled with life and color, but her world was fading. One cold winter morning, she fell ill with pneumonia. The doctor said softly, "She has lost the will to fight." Lena stared at the ivy vine outside her window. The storm was tearing away its leaves, one by one. She whispered, "When the last leaf falls, I'll go too." Next door lived Mr. Gray, an old painter who had once been famous but was now forgotten. He visited Lena every evening, bringing small sketches to make her smile. But nothing worked. One night, when the wind howled like a beast, Lena pointed weakly. "Only one leaf left, Mr. Gray. When it falls, I'll stop fighting." The old man's heart broke, but he said nothing. That night, the storm was merciless. Rain lashed against the walls, trees bent and cracked, and everyone stayed inside. Everyone. Except Mr. Gray. He wrapped himself in a coat, grabbed his old paintbrush, and stepped into the storm. Under the roaring sky, he stood before the ivy vine and began to paint a single leaf, bright and green, on the cold wall. Morning came. Lena opened her eyes, expecting the branch to be bare. But the last leaf was still there, glistening with dew. She stared in disbelief. "That leaf, it didn't fall," she whispered. And for the first time in weeks, she smiled. "If it can hold on, so can I." Intermission sometimes. Hope is not loud. It's silent, painted on the wall of your soul by someone who still believes in you. Let's take a deep breath and see what happens next. Days passed. Lena's strength slowly returned. She began sketching again, inspired by that one green leaf. Her laughter returned. Her art came alive, and the doctor marveled. "She's healing faster than I ever expected." But Mr. Gray hadn't visited in days. One morning, the nurse entered Lena's room quietly. She looked at the leaf on the wall, then at Lena, and said softly, "Mr. Gray passed away last night. The storm took him." Tears filled Lena's eyes. Then she looked out the window. The leaf still stood strong, unmoved by wind or rain. It wasn't real. It was painted. Mr. Gray had painted it for her with his final breath. Years later, Lena became a renowned artist. In every gallery, one painting always stood at the center. A simple green leaf on a gray wall. In a quiet mountain village, nestled among misty peaks, lived a young girl named Lena. Her heart beat in time with the rhythm of a paintbrush, and her soul was a canvas splashed with the brightest colors imaginable. Lena dreamed of becoming an artist, and every stroke of her brush was a testament to that dream. Her paintings weren't just images, they were vibrant stories, filled with the life and energy of the mountains she called home. Sun-kissed meadows, deep blue streams, and the fiery dance of autumn leaves captured it all with a passion that was as wild and beautiful as the nature surrounding her. But just as a sudden frost can claim the most brilliant flower, a shadow began to creep into Lena's world. One cold winter morning, she fell ill. It started subtly, a fatigue that clung to her like the mountain fog. Slowly, the vibrant colors of her life began to fade. The world she had once painted with such joy started to blur into muted shades of gray. The energy that fueled her art dwindled, leaving her too weak to even hold a brush. Her laughter, once a melody that echoed through the valleys, grew quiet. The girl who painted a world of life and color found her own world fading away, her once bright future now shrouded in uncertainty. Lena's parents did everything they could. They consulted doctors in the nearby towns, their faces etched with worry. But the illness was a mystery, a persistent shadow that no medicine seemed to touch. Days turned into weeks, and Lena's bed became her entire world. The canvases in her room stood empty, silent witnesses to the dream that was slipping through her fingers. Her window overlooked the snow-covered peaks, but the majestic view no longer inspired her. It felt like a barrier, isolating her from the world she so dearly loved and longed to paint. Despair began to settle in her heart, a cold and heavy weight. Hope, once the brightest color on her palette, seemed to have run dry. She felt lost, a forgotten sketch in a world that was moving on without her. Just when the silence in Lena's room felt absolute, a new sound emerged, the gentle, rhythmic asterisk thud, 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 asterisk of an axe splitting wood. It was Old Man Hemlock, the village's reclusive wood. He lived alone in a cabin at the edge of the forest, a man of few words, and a face carved with the stories of a long life. Most villagers kept their distance, intimidated by his silent, imposing figure. But Hemlock had seen the light in Lena's art, a spark he recognized from his own youth. He had heard about her illness, and in his quiet way, he decided to act. He wasn't a doctor, and he had no miracle cures, but he had his hands, his tools, and a deep understanding of the forest's heart. Every day, without a word, Hemlock would leave a small, intricately carved wooden animal on Lena's windowsill. One day, it was a nimble squirrel, its tail a perfect spiral. The next, a majestic stag with antlers like a forest crown. Then a wise old owl, its wooden eyes seeming to hold ancient secrets. Each creation was a masterpiece of silent devotion, carved from the very trees Lena used to paint. Lena, weak and listless, would watch him from her bed. At first, she was confused, but as the collection of wooden creatures grew, so did a flicker of curiosity. She would reach out a trembling hand to touch the smooth, polished wood, feeling the grain, the life still present within it. These small, silent gifts were more than just carvings. They were messages of hope, delivered without a single word. They were a reminder that even in the dead of winter, the forest held a resilient, quiet strength. One morning, Lena awoke to find a new gift on her windowsill, a small, unpainted wooden bluebird, its wings outstretched as if ready for flight. Beside it lay a single, fine-tipped paintbrush and a tiny pot of blue paint. It was a silent invitation. For the first time in months, Lena felt a stir of her old self. With trembling hands, she sat up, her breath coming in shallow bursts. It took all her strength, but she reached for the brush. Her fingers, weak and unsure, closed around its familiar shape. It felt like reconnecting with a long-lost friend. She dipped the brush into the blue paint, the color of the sky on a clear summer day, the color of hope. Her first stroke was shaky, a wobbly line on the bird's wing. But with each touch of the brush, a little more strength returned to her hand. She wasn't just painting a wooden bird. She was painting her way back to life. The act of creating, however small, reignited the fire within her. A faint smile touched her lips as she added a speck of white to the bird's eye, giving it a glint of life. That day, Lena didn't just paint a bird. She painted a promise to herself that she would fly again. Old Man Hemlock's quiet act of kindness had done what no medicine could. It had given her a reason to fight. It showed her that hope isn't something you wait for. It's something you create, even if it's just one brushstroke at a time. With the bluebird as her first victory, Lena's recovery began. It was a slow and arduous journey, like a mountain climb after a long winter. Some days were harder than others, filled with exhaustion and doubt. But she was no longer alone in her fight. The line of carved animals on her windowsill was her army of silent supporters, each one a symbol of Hemlock's unwavering belief in her. Every morning, she would paint one of the carvings, mixing colors that she hadn't touched in months. She painted the squirrel a cheeky auburn, the stag a deep, earthy brown, and the owl in 100 shades of gray and silver. Each painted figure was a step forward, a splash of color reclaiming her world from the encroaching gray. Her room, once a chamber of sickness, slowly transformed into a vibrant menagerie, a testament to her returning strength. True strength, she realized, wasn't loud or forceful. It was silent and persistent, like the steady growth of a tree or the quiet determination of an old wood. As the snows of winter began to melt, replaced by the green shoots of spring, Lena finally stepped out of her house. The mountain air, crisp and clean, filled her lungs. The world seemed more vivid than ever before, every color more intense, every sound a beautiful melody. The storm of her illness had passed, but its impact had reshaped her. She saw the world not just as an artist, but with a newfound gratitude for every small detail: the resilience of a wildflower pushing through the soil, the steadfastness of the mountains, and the profound power of a simple, selfless act of kindness. The love and hope shared by Old Man Hemlock had left an indelible mark on her heart, a permanent color on the canvas of her soul. Every storm ends, but the beauty and warmth of love remain long after the clouds have cleared. Lena returned to her canvases, but her art was different now. It was deeper, more soulful. She still painted the vibrant landscapes of her home, but now her paintings also told stories of hope, resilience, and the quiet strength she had discovered. Her masterpiece from that time was a portrait of Old Man Hemlock, not as a recluse, but as a guardian of the forest, his hands holding a small, brightly painted bluebird. The painting was a celebration of how his silent kindness had inspired her back to health. Her work began to travel beyond the village, touching the hearts of people in faraway cities. They saw in her art not just skill, but a powerful message, that even in the darkest of times, there is hope, and that the greatest art of all is the art of inspiring others. Lena, the girl who almost lost her world, had found her true purpose not just in painting her dreams, but in painting hope for others to see. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this story with me. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that inspire and uplift. Your support helps us continue to share messages of hope and kindness. We'll see you in the next one.